More than 55 years ago, Garth Meacham of Winnipeg was in Copenhagen. He was just 7, but he saw something that day that set the course for his life. All these years later, that day still resonates with him. What did he see? Well, let's find out. Garth, what did you see?
Well, we went to a museum with my parents and my brother, and we were there to see a Viking ship. It was a blackened hull of a Viking ship made of oak, maybe 60 feet long, just the way it was sitting in the museum with the other artifacts that were on the walls and things. The ship, I was a lot smaller than the ship was. It was up on a stand, so I was looking up at it. I could imagine this ship on the ocean, sailing.
So what did you do as a result of having been so affected by this Viking ship in Copenhagen?
Well, I think I took that back with me to Germany. We were living in Germany at the time. And I was watching The Vikings, I think, at that time, the movie.
Yes.
Kirk Douglas and Tony Curtis had just come out. So my dad took me to see that. And again, more Viking influence.
So now on the table in front of us is your own Viking world. Tell us a bit about what's here in front of us.
These are some of my collection. Bracelets from the Baltic area.
These are things that real Vikings touched, right?
These would be from the 8th to the 11th century.
What's this? This is an axe head?
That's a Danish battle axe with raised lugs on it, and there's still traces of
the wood,
organic wood
in the opening.
Yeah.
And what's this thing that looks like a butcher knife? What's that?
That's a Semigalian war knife that they would have used instead of a sword.
And this?
That's a horseshoe.
Oh, right. You can see the holes where the nails were.
That's from an Icelandic pony from the 10th century.
How do you go about getting all these pieces?
It just takes a long time to collect, and you collect it one piece at a time. It takes a long time to get the pieces just right, and you have to know who you're purchasing it from, and you have to know what you're buying, and you have to have done your research.
But you not only collect genuine Viking artifacts, you make your own in a certain way, right? Like you're inspired as an artist.
Absolutely.
To create work.
Absolutely.
What kind of things do you make?
I think the nicest article I made was the Viking sword. I was in communication with a fellow from Monaco who collects Viking swords. He has the largest collection in the world. And he had a sword that he was willing to part and send it to me. And I thought, well, that would be really great. So I did get the sword.
And what did this sword look like?
It was in 3 pieces. Yeah, the blade was correct. Everything was correct. And then I thought, well, it would be nice to do a carving to mount the sword on.
Now, how big a sword was this?
36 inches long.
So a yard. That's a big sword.
That's a big sword.
And this is made of what material?
It's iron.
Yeah?
It's iron.
In
yes.
3 pieces. Why, had it been broken?
Yeah, a lot of them are broken.
Okay.
Yeah. I stitched it together. I restored it, and I purchased a pommel and a cross guard for it.
A pommel, like a handle?
Yeah. Well, the pommel is the top piece.
Oh.
And it comes in 2 pieces, and then I patinaed it with chemicals, and then
patinaed it. You changed the color of the...
Changed the color to make it look like it was 1,000 years old, because when I ordered
right.
it was bronze.
This is the pommel?
This is the pommel and the cross guard, yeah.
Okay, all right.
And then I hung it on a slab of maple that I had carved out. But I wanted the sword to extend out about 1.5 inches from the carving itself and look like it was floating. So in the right light, you'd have a nice shadow on the carving. So I used magnets and Kevlar thread, earth magnets and Kevlar thread to hold it. The effect is quite interesting because it's not sitting right on the wood; it's extended out.
And so you make other things as well, right? Tell us about some of those. Tell me about the horns.
I purchased the horns in New Mexico, Texas Longhorn steers.
And what do you do with the horns?
I carve them into a drinking horn.
And what do you carve on them?
I have a library full of reference material that if the horn suits a certain design.
Again, these are Viking designs.
Oh yes, yeah? And then I try to get as deep into the horn as I can, using Italian files or sometimes a Dremel, and I use a magnifying headpiece,
Mm-hmm.
and and try to get right up close to it. It takes me about 3 months to do one horn.
You build some big things too, right?
I did one for Grindstone Provincial Park.
You have a studio up there too.
I have a studio cabin that I do a lot of work and make a huge mess around.
What's the piece at Grindstone that you've made?
It was a large Viking out of white spruce. It was over 12 feet tall. It weighed about 3,600 pounds, but it took me 3 months to carve that one over the summer with a variety of tools, jack planes, and...
Did the Vikings themselves do something like this too? Did
oh,
they
absolutely, sure.
Really?
Oh, yeah. They carved everything. Anything that was wood was carved. Anything. They were like squirrels. They just chewing anything. As a result of that, there's so much evidence now of what they did. It's just fabulous work.
How much in demand is your work around the world?
I've sold items all over the world. Not everybody's into the Viking thing, so you really have to, I could do deer and...
Well, you're in the right neck of the woods, though, for being into the Viking thing.
Absolutely, and I've always been a huge Gimli fan. I had gone out there as a teenager to all the festivals out there, and I've been very fortunate to be involved with the New Iceland Heritage Museum. I have quite a few pieces there, some for sale, some on permanent display. Okay. I have... one of the large ones. He's about 6 foot tall. I call him King Orm. He'll be there forever. He's not going anywhere. I've sold walking sticks there, and
you make these fantastic walking sticks. Tell us a bit about those. I've seen some photos of them.
You have to have a lot of detail, and I use birch mostly, because birch lends itself to a very nice silky feel to it when it's finished, and then I can use an aniline dye on them. But I was very fortunate to be able to find the right wood out in Grindstone where I am with a lot of driftwood. I'm out in my canoe quite a bit and I'm finding all kinds of pieces on different beaches. So I have a ready supply of excellent walking stick woods.
If someone wants to buy a piece that you've made and someone's listening saying, I sure would love to get one of Garth's pieces,
I try to direct them towards my website because I have the ordering and shipping information there and the prices. Some of my horns have sold for well over $1,000.
Your Danish battle axe here on the table, what's going to become of this?
If I continue my affiliation with the Gimli Museum, I imagine a lot of that would go there. I would like to leave it all with the museum.
Well, Garth, this has been a fascinating walk through a world that, I am enchanted with it, but I know lots of others as well, and it started for you when you were 7, and you're still there.
I'm 62 now, and I'm still doing this.
Congratulations on some wonderful stuff, and thanks a lot for coming in to talk about it.
Thank you very much.
Garth Meacham of Winnipeg is the Viking Carver, and you can see some of his things that Garth brought in on our Facebook page. Particularly have a look at this little sword. It's a little knife actually held in hand. There's a photo of Garth looking at it. This is a Damascus blade. Named after the kind of steel that was made in Damascus, which spread all across Europe in the, I guess about 1,000 years ago. 300 layers of steel hammered to make this stunning blade. And you can see the Danish axe head that Garth was talking about as well. If you want to visit his website and find out more, there's a great collection of photos on that site, vikingcarver.com on the web.